Hello, hello, and welcome to Balanced Business Masterclass. We're going to see who we've got here live in the room in a minute, but if you are watching the replay of this masterclass, welcome. We will get started very shortly. So, who have we got live in the room? We've got Ali, Alberto, Alexandra, Amber. We've got lots of you. Bianca, hello, welcome. Please do feel free to say hey in the webinar chat. That is your space to chat and say hello to everybody. Please do let us know where you're coming from in the world today. I'd love to know who we've got in the room. Hi, Elsie. Hi, Gracie. Hi, Holly. Hi, Jakob. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jess. Hi, John. Hi, Justin. I would love to say hello to everybody, but that might take us a while. So thank you everybody for joining me today live. It's really exciting to be live with you today. I haven't done a live workshop for a little while, so I'm really excited about this. I hope that you are too. Please give me a big thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to go on this webinar. We'll give everyone a couple of more minutes just to make sure everyone gets in here because it does take Zoom a little bit of time to let everyone in. So I don't want to start too promptly because I can see that everyone's kind of coming in. If you're just coming into the room now, please do say hello to everyone in the chat. Give me a little thumbs up. Let me know where you're coming from in the world. Get excited because we're going to do some awesome motion design business stuff today. And I'm really, really excited. So let's kick off then. Just a little bit of housekeeping actually before we get into it. Feel free to put stuff in the chat. But please, if you have a question for me, please do put it in the Q&A box. You will see if you look at the bottom of Zoom, it will say Q&A. So if you have a question, please do put it in there. I will do my best to answer questions throughout the workshop, but probably what most likely we will do, we will answer most of the questions at the end. So if you have a question, feel free to put it in there anytime, especially if it's relevant to kind of what we're doing at the time in the workshop. But most likely we'll answer most of them at the end. So make sure you stick around to the end for that as well. The lovely Brendan is helping me in the chat today and with the questions, so he can help answer questions for you too. But please do put them in the Q&A. Obviously, general chat can go in the chat. Just makes it easier for us. Otherwise, it's kind of hard and we might lose some of the questions there. So thank you for bearing with me for that bit of housekeeping and welcome if you're just joining us. Please intro yourself in the chat. I'm really excited to welcome everyone to this workshop today. Your mindset is about to take a big shift. As you can tell, I'm very excited. I'm going to teach you how you can get unstuck and scale your motion design business. And of course, we're going to do this the stress-free way because no one wants to be stressed and we want you to have a balanced business and a sustainable one. So like I said, please ask questions. We are here live. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. If you're watching the replay later and you couldn't attend live, don't worry. Just send me an email at hello@motionhatch.com with any questions that you have, and I will do my best to answer them as soon as possible. Just in case you don't know who I am and you're wondering who this person is talking to you right now. Hello, I'm Haley. Nice to meet you all. I'm the founder of Motion Hatch, and over the past 7 years, I've helped hundreds of designers and animators to create a sustainable motion design business. This is also my very, very cute cat, Elvis. So if you see him throughout the presentation, please do give us a little cat emoji in the chat, just because for a bit of fun, and why not? Just because Elvis is cute and I wanted to put him in the presentation. So let's continue then. So my goal for this workshop today is to teach you how you can free up your time and create a system to scale your business to the next level so that you can make more money, but also work on more creative projects. Because I know all of you out there are very creative people and you want to work on fun and creative projects with cool clients, but also making more money as well. So I promise that if you stick around today and implement what I'm going to teach you, you will get results, whether you're an animator, a motion designer, illustrator, or a studio owner looking to scale your business. So let's talk a little bit about then what we're going to learn today. So we are going to go through a 10-minute exercise to help you to immediately free up your time and figure out your top priorities, because this is one of the things that lots of you have told me that you struggle with. And we're going to teach you how to make more time so that you can scale your business and also make more money. And I want to tell you about the secret that big companies use to scale their businesses that you can steal to grow. And also we'll go on to how to easily hire the right people to scale your business. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about how you don't necessarily have to hire other people to scale. But I think it's important to talk a little bit about that here because there's lots of lessons that I've personally learned over the past few years when it comes to hiring. So I wanted to share them all with you in case that is something you're looking to do or potentially looking to do in the future. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping things. Please do try and reduce distractions around you. Put your phone out the way. I've got mine on airplane mode. We don't want any disturbances because we want you to get into the flow, want you to learn a lot. This is going to be an active workshop where we're going to be doing some fun and interactive stuff and working on some exercises together. Make sure you have a pen and paper ready. Here's mine. You can also, of course, use an iPad or whatever you want, whatever you have at hand. You're going to learn a lot, so I want to make sure that you can make notes, basically. And I'm also going to let you know how you can get more information about working with me and how you can access our coaching program, Balanced Business Bootcamp, because I promised I would share that with you today as well. And we are opening spots for that today, so very exciting. And we've got special bonuses for you for joining the workshop as well. So do keep an eye out for them and make sure you stick around all the way to the end. Awesome, awesome. So is everyone ready? Give me a big thumbs up in the chat, just so I know you're ready to learn. So first off, I want to tell you a little story before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty workshop stuff. I want to tell you about a time that I was almost made redundant twice. Like, I feel like it's kind of unbelievable that this happened. So let's talk through it anyway. The first time I was nearly made redundant was when I was working at a sports broadcasting company, and one of their big clients went bust. At the time, I wasn't a motion designer yet. I was a junior graphics operator doing live graphics for the client. And luckily for me, at the same time, what happened was they needed to make some people redundant on the live graphic side, but they actually had a junior motion designer role, which of course everybody who was a junior graphics operator went for this job. So everyone was trying to save their jobs. It was a really stressful time. We had to do a pitch and we had to design a title sequence for the World Cup to essentially save our jobs. So it was pretty stressful. So on the day we had to pitch our ideas to save our jobs to get this new motion designer role, I was really, really nervous. I remember that I was waiting around. I was, probably a bit like now, my hands are a bit sweaty. I'd spent all of my evenings and weekends on this pitch, and I just thought, why should I get this job? There's lots of other people who are going for this job. Everyone was really desperate to save their jobs. Unfortunately, the company had to make people redundant. So I remember that I went through the slides with my boss and I was feeling really nervous. And, he thanked me and I left the room and all I could think was this really enough to save my job? So cut to the chase, I actually got the junior motion designer role and I was like so thrilled. So luckily I got the job and I managed to save my job this time. So the second time I was almost made redundant was when I was working at a really huge, like not a big production company, but with a really huge client that had loads of money. So you thought like, okay, well, surely this time is going to be better, right? Surely this time I won't be made redundant. And I was still pretty early in my career, so I was quite shy and quite quiet. And in my downtime, what I did was I built systems and processes for the big brand that we work with. And I was doing this off my own back, and I wasn't really telling anyone that I was doing this. And I was just thinking, okay, well, I'll just get on with this. It'll help me speed up when times are busy and, I don't have anything to do when work is slow. So let me just do this. But of course, when it came to making someone redundant in the motion design team, I was the newest motion designer in a very, very, very small team. So they came to me first. I felt really crushed by this. I'd spent all of my time building all of these systems, help everyone speed up and, essentially to help the company make more money. But the big problem was that no one knew that I was doing this, right? I think early on in our careers, perhaps you relate to this. A lot of us don't advocate for ourselves and we don't speak up. And, we just kind of want to get on with the work. We want to make fun and creative work. It felt like really out of the blue to me. And I was really angry about it. And I just felt like, everything was crashing down. And I just thought, like, how could I let this happen to me again? Like this, and it just proved this point to me that there isn't really such a thing as a secure, full-time job, because I had to fight for my job once again. And luckily, because of all the work that I'd been doing that I hadn't actually been talking about to anyone, they were like, oh, okay, you're really useful. We need to make you a brand motion designer. So they created this brand new role for me where I was making brand templates and guidelines and basically all the work that I'd been doing in my downtime. So ultimately, being nearly made redundant twice gave me the confidence to go freelance because I felt like I wanted to, kind of bank on myself and my own skills and my own kind of, willingness to put myself out there. But I think what happens is when we go freelance, like the problem is a lot of the times we think it's going to be like this, right? This sitting on a beach with a laptop and things like that. And this is a dream we think of and that comes to mind, or that people try and portray, right? When we think about, oh yeah, this is what freelance life looks like. I can just do what I want and I can travel around. But obviously, we all know, well, probably most of you are aware now, that the freelance dream isn't always a reality. And this is really what I saw when I was working full time as well, that a lot of freelance took every single job that came to them and came their way because they just didn't want it to be their last job and they were very scared, And this is actually a more realistic representation, I think, of what freelance income looks like. So this is like time on the bottom. Obviously, you've got money going up here, and then you've got these really, highs, big dips and big lulls kind of in your income stream. So like, most people realize that freelancing can be unpredictable, but how can we actually avoid these big dips in our work? The way to avoid this is to spend more time working on your business and not just in your business. So this is sort of feels counterintuitive, but let me explain a little bit more. The biggest thing that's holding 95% of motion designers back is actually finding time to really focus on the business. And I understand this is really, really difficult. This is one of the hardest things. And this is what I want to help you with today. And this is what we're going to talk about. So how can we find more time then so we can actually scale our business and make more money? Because I imagine a lot of you who are here are, serving your current clients and working with them, and you're thinking, well, I don't have time for all this outreach and marketing and, scaling and finding new and better clients and all that. You're just kind of stuck, So let's first off do a little 10-minute exercise together that will help you to free up your time and focus on your top priorities. Now, I want to talk about how you can create your 3 lists to freedom. So I learned about this from an entrepreneur called Chris Ducker. I didn't make this up myself, but it's something that I've come back to in my business again and again that really helps me to free up time and also prioritize. So I'm hoping that it's going to really help you as well. So what are your 3 lists to freedom then? So they're things that you hate doing, things that you shouldn't do, and things that you can't do. So they're essentially all tasks that you're currently doing at the moment, but what we're going to do is we're going to categorize them, and then we're going to figure out how we can automate or delegate some of these, which will help you to free up your time. And also it surfaces a lot of things that you want to make your priorities and what should be further up on the list and taking up more of your time. So let me just show you here. This is my 3 lists to freedom from 2020. The things that I shouldn't be doing at that time were actually like super long. They were going off this page, but I just thought, it looks too much. I'll just show you these ones for now, and you kind of get the idea. So, some of the things in 2020 that I was doing that I didn't like was, like chasing people, delegating stuff like bookkeeping, filtering through emails, like a lot of admin type stuff. Things I can't do, like technically, I guess I could do like website updates, like SEO, I didn't really know anything about SEO. A lot of website stuff, that type of thing. Things I shouldn't be doing, was taking up a lot of my time, like looking at a lot of social media. Obviously, we were doing podcasts and things like that, which is a little bit different to what you're doing, but this was what I was actually doing at the time. Organizing projects, checking a lot of emails, like just checking a lot of stuff and proofing a lot of stuff. And I just felt like I could probably get someone else, or I could at least automate these and build a system to speed this stuff up. So this is what I did. And then I think this is really important. It's very key, especially for surfacing priorities, right? Is also writing down the things that you actually like doing. Because if you want to build a business that works for you and the life that you want, you need to know what you like to do, right? Because then you're going to build out your business in a way that works for you and is makes you excited to get up every day, and essentially doing stuff in your zone of genius. So things that I like doing: recording podcasts, working on product development, working on course content, talking to all of you here today on these live workshops, lots of kind of, the fun, chatting to people, coaching, all of that kind of stuff. That's my zone of genius. They're the things I love. They're the things that I love teaching people. So this is what I kind of wanted to build my business towards, right? So here's my update from 2022. So a couple of years later, this stuff can take a little bit of time sometimes, but you can see that I went through and I ticked off everything that had actually gotten off my plate within those first 2 years, or like those last 2 years, I should say, sorry. And it's almost all of it. Now, obviously, it's looking a bit different today of like what I'm doing and stuff like that. But this is why I'm saying you need to do this exercise, like probably maybe once a year, something like that. Because then you'll see over time as you progress, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I was doing all this stuff and now I'm not doing it, or I have a more streamlined process to do it, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. This is not always just hiring other people to do stuff, but it's just realizing the things that are taking up a lot of your time and how to get those things off your plate. And I think that if I hadn't done that in 2020, then in 2022, I would still have a lot of these things on my plate. I can see that someone's saying that the audio is not working, so maybe Brendan can help with that. Just give me a thumbs up, everyone else, if you can still hear me. Just want to check. Okay, cool. Okay, good. So now what I want you to do is I want you to create your own 3 lists of freedom. So remember, it's things you hate doing, things you shouldn't do, and things you can't do. Obviously, you can write down the things you like doing too. That's always a good exercise. But what you should think about is, what are your most painful tasks? What are the things you really hate doing? Or ideally as well, the things that take up a lot of your time and write them down first, right? So this is what we're going to do, a little 5-minute brainstorm. I'm actually going to go back to my 3 lists of freedom from 2020 because I think it might give you some ideas. And then I'm going to set a timer and just think of this as kind of like a brainstorming thing. Obviously, yours are going to look a little different from mine, but we're just going to start this, give you 5 minutes now. Obviously, you're going back to this replay later, watch it again and like continue. Great. Cool. So is everyone all good? Do we have any questions before we set the timer about creating your 3 lists of freedom? Just so I know. You can just pop them in the chat as well. I can see what's going on at this point. Everyone's good? Cool. So let's kick off the timer then. I think you should be able to see it. Let me just check. Can everyone see the timer? Should say 5. Cool. Okay, awesome. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll try and answer them in the chat as well while we're doing it. All right, here we go. We've got a couple of minutes left. As Brendan said, please submit any of your lists into the chat because this can help everyone else as well think of some other things that they might want to add to their lists. Okay, if you just wrap up now, we're just coming to the end of the 5 minutes. I understand that you probably haven't got it all done, but that's okay. Don't worry. You can totally come back to the replay of this and do this later as well. So hopefully you have some ideas now, and please feel free to post them in the chat as well. It's always great to share with each other and what you came up with. But just think of this as a little brainstorming session because it's going to help you later when we talk a little bit more about this and how to utilize this in your business. So then what you would do is after you've gone through all of these 3 lists of freedom, you would go through like I did on mine and highlight them in different colors on what you think you could delegate or automate, right? So you would use different colors based on whether you think it could be potentially an accountant, maybe a virtual assistant, maybe a producer, or maybe another designer, right? Or whether you could automate it or create a system for it as well, right? Because not all of these tasks might not always be done by someone else. So for example, let's look at some of your examples. So Hannah said reading and sometimes writing contracts for starting new projects. Obviously, you as a business owner should always be reading your contracts, and this isn't legal advice. But what you can do is you could have templates in place and a system in place and a lawyer on hand that might help you so that you can make that easier for yourself. So you can see how you can kind of create some systems out of some of these things. Writing posts and creating posts for social media. So for example, to start with, you could create a system around that where you do it maybe every Tuesday morning, you batch that. That would make it a lot easier for you. But then also maybe eventually you could also outsource that to someone else as well. Cool. So thanks for adding all of those in there. We'll just keep going, but feel free to keep adding those in. So you should end up with something like this. You could see that I added in here business manager, like an operational manager, producer type person, a virtual assistant, and what could be automated. And then other, I put in a category where I wasn't really sure who might do that at the time. But then you can figure out, okay, well, is this a different group of people, or is this a few different roles, or is this a few different systems and things like that? So hopefully that has helped you, get your mind going a little bit on what you could potentially get off your plate. So now what you should do is you should celebrate because you've made a start on building a business that works for you and the life that you want, especially if you thought of some things in there that you like doing that you want to do more of or work towards as well. So to make sure that these are actually things that are taking up your time, I do recommend that you track your time for 2 weeks. Now, I know that this is painful and people don't really like doing it and that kind of thing, but it is really, really valuable because you'll probably realize that some of the stuff that you're doing, you either shouldn't be doing or it's taking you much longer than you expected. And there'll be definitely things that you can add to your 3 lists of freedom. So if you do this time tracking, you might be surprised about what you're spending your time on. And Kelly realized that she was doing a lot of tasks that actually didn't take as long as she thought they would take. And what I've found as well with time tracking is that it's really helpful because it kind of holds me a little bit accountable as well to what I'm actually doing. So if you set a timer going and then it says you should be checking your LinkedIn for 20 minutes, for example, if then after 20 minutes you realize you've been doing it for half an hour, even an hour, then you know, okay, I've been doing that for too long. Maybe I should set a timer on my phone next time or something like that. So it just gives you a little bit of accountability as well, which I think is really, really good. So I want to just check in with everybody now that we're about half an hour in. I want to see if what I'm teaching is applying to you, you know, that we're teaching the right thing. So I want to know if any of these sound like you. Please do let me know in the chat because I want to make sure I'm teaching the right thing. And obviously I can speak to some more of these things and stuff like that. So maybe you feel like you started your business and you have clients, maybe they're good clients, but they're not so great clients. Maybe sometimes you feel like you're at the bottom of the food chain with the studio, production company, advertising agency, and the brand all above you. And sometimes what happens with this as well is obviously the budget is getting smaller and smaller each time. Maybe you feel like you're trapped making generic work in the name of chasing money, working a lot, and you don't have time to invest in yourself and your growth. Or maybe you've tried to or thought about hiring other people to help you, but you can't find the right people and you don't want to spend all your time managing. Now, I know a lot of great people do relate to this unless you're running a studio, so do let me know if that's you. You're scared to say no to clients or take a vacation because you're afraid of losing them, and you're overwhelmed with tight schedules and client demands. So let me know if that's resonating with you in the chat. I want to make sure that I'm kind of hitting the right points today and I'm really teaching you what you need to know, right? So because of this, imagine what would happen if I gave you 10, 20, or 30 new clients right now. Just tell me in the chat, like what would happen? I come to you tomorrow and I'm like, hey, here you go, here's 30 new clients. What would you do? Would you be able to manage that? I would never sleep. 10 would be incredible. Okay, maybe you could manage 10. Overwhelmed. Yeah, exactly. Most of you would feel overwhelmed. You'd probably feel a little bit like this lady, probably be pretty sad, overwhelmed that you couldn't deliver to all of these clients, or at least not effectively and not well. And this is because you haven't got systems in place to handle all those clients. So everything would break. So then how do we scale? If we, how do we build the systems in place and how do we do this? So I want to talk firstly about some growing your business myths. So yeah, Drew was saying like might consider starting a studio. I wanted to kind of dive into some of the myths that people think about growing their business, and then we'll like talk a bit more about how you could start to handle potentially more clients or even like more niche clients. So a lot of people think because you're essentially running a service-based business and exchanging time for money, there's a ceiling with the amount of money that you can make. So I want to introduce you to DJ. I worked with him, but before working with Motion Hatch, DJ was hustling and grinding away and eventually did hit a ceiling with the amount of money he can make, and he was getting burnt out. He was working on so many things, clients and teaching as well. He thought it would be impossible to make more money. But after I coached him and worked with him on his business, he doubled his income from 100K to 200K in less than a year while spending less time in the office. And he said that he made more money now and works less because he's saying yes to the right opportunities. And I'm really proud of him because he did win 2 Emmys as well. So growing your business myth 2. I don't have time to work on my business because I'm serving my current clients and they take up all my time. Who in the chat resonates with this? Well, let me introduce you to Mark. He also, probably like you, was feeling like he had no time. Like it'd be impossible to find time to work on his business, right? It's impossible to do this. But using the system that I want to teach you today, Mark and DJ found extra time to work on their business, which led them to have consistent leads, and it led Mark to have been booked almost 2 months in advance. So then he obviously became more confident, more relaxed, because he had a solid system in place to run his business. So let's talk about growing your business myth 3. I need to hire people and spend all my time managing them to scale my business. I have no experience hiring and managing people. Now, some of you in the room might be studio owners and maybe have a bit more experience with this, but it's definitely tricky, especially if you're from a creative background like we all are here. And I get this, right? I'm definitely a creative person too. I don't like managing people. I'm also a little bit of a control freak sometimes, but I promise you, you can build a team of reliable freelancers who help you to grow your business. And this is my lovely team here. And obviously, we've got the lovely Brendan in the chat and Chrissy. Oh, Chrissy's in the chat too. So that's lovely. So you can build a team of freelancers as well that help you on a week-to-week basis. But you obviously don't need to start with a team. So don't be worried, like this isn't all about building a team and stuff like that. We can also start with automation and simple exercises and habits that will help you to free up your time. And I'm not just talking about AI here. This is quite a new thing, but this is actually a thing that's been around in business for a long time. And these are things that you can utilize yourself. So as an example, Joe used our social media guide, which provides you with a system to post on social media consistently without getting overwhelmed. And Joe actually made 24K in 4 months on LinkedIn just by using our social media guide system. And then he continued to build out his systems in our Balanced Business Bootcamp program. Now Joe has actually created a system which is a subscription that he uses with his clients. And he actually did this a little bit out of necessity because his wife was in hospital. So he couldn't serve his clients in the same way that he'd done before, in probably a very similar way to you were all doing a lot of back and forth on email, a lot of calls and things like that. But because he took Balanced Business Bootcamp, he had more of a systems mindset. This allowed him to create this subscription-based system, which worked very well for him and meant that he could still run his business while taking care of his wife in the hospital. So a little bit of a sad story, but I appreciate Joe for letting me share this. And you can see, I think he was remoting like into his computer from his iPad there. But I was really pleased that thinking about systems in this way helped him to be there for his wife. And it just really made me happy. So I wanted to share this with all of you. I also asked Joe the other day, if I could share this with you on the call. And he sent me this just randomly. And it was just really lovely that I said, do you mind if I share the quote with everyone? So he said, the most important thing is that when the odds are stacked against you, there is usually always a way, even in the worst circumstances. And there was never a time in all of it I thought about quitting. I love this industry that much. I just wanted to share that because I thought it was lovely and it was beautiful. And luckily his wife is better now. But I just thought it was great that because he had a systems mindset and we started building systems together, that this allowed him to be with his wife and take care of her when she needed him. So that was really, really nice. So there's a big secret that lots of companies use that you can steal to grow your business as well. And if you haven't guessed, that is systems. I've already mentioned this so much more through this, but we're going to talk about this a lot more in depth now. So some people think when you think about like systems and processes, you think, okay, well, is this about like stuffy offices and big book binders of useless information? And that's, of course, this isn't what I want for you. We want to talk about how to build systems that actually free up your time and help you in your motion design business. So this is probably where most of you are right now. You're trapped in this like never ending cycle of work, and it's really hard to get out of it if you don't have systems. So you probably work on a client project that's all consuming, that takes up all of your time. Once you finish, you come out with no work lined up and you're probably desperately looking for work, emailing everyone for referrals, recommendations, and then you finally get another job lined up and you feel relieved and you promise yourself, I promise this time I will continue with my marketing and my outreach for my business so that I don't have another dip in my work. But then what happens is you get really busy again, and then you don't have any downtime. So next time when you do have downtime, you don't have time to do, you're back in this cycle again. So you're kind of going round and round and round in this cycle of work. So let me know if this is you right now, and if you relate to this, where you feel like you're doing a project, then you're marketing, then that can, creates a little dip, then you're not marketing yourself at all, and you're busy on a project again, you continue. Okay, lots of people are saying this is true. That's good. I'm excited because I'm teaching you the right stuff. So the one thing that separates burnt out freelancers from the ones that are thriving is a foundation of sustainable systems. And this gives you the freedom to build your business in the right way. So you can create this sustainable cycle of work. So this is an unstoppable machine that keeps your business running smoothly, and it allows you to actually dedicate more time to building systems and processes, which gets you more free time to contact and work with more higher paying clients. And you can use that free time to improve your skills and your systems, which means you get even more higher paying clients and so on. So you can use this to, build your business in whatever way you want, whether that's making more creative work, making more money, or of course, spending more time with your family. At Motion Hatch, we don't always believe in like the end goal is always just make more money, make more money, make more money. It's about building a business that works for you and the life that you want, right? So imagine if you could attract a steady stream of better paying, high value clients, potentially building a support team or creating automation so that you're not carrying the entire weight of your business on your own shoulders, working with fulfilling personal projects that resonate with your values and hopefully leave a better impact on the world as well, and enjoying guilt-free quality time off whenever you want. So this is what building systems and processes in your business can help you to do. So remember the 3 lists of freedom. This is your list that you can actually start building systems for today, right? So what you want to do with this is you want to start with your most time-consuming tasks, which is why I asked you to track your time, because I want to make sure this is accurate, right? And then what you're going to do is see what you can automate and delegate. And even if you're thinking, well, I can't delegate right now, I think that's fine. You can set up these systems and processes, which are just going to help you speed up anyway. And then once you're ready to delegate, potentially later, if you never want to do that, that's cool too. At least you have those systems and processes ready to hand off, because we all know what it's like when you're busy on a project. If you're trying to teach someone else how you work and how you like to communicate and everything like that, it becomes very, very difficult. So for example, my assistant just left, unfortunately. She moved on to a different type of role. But because she documented all of her processes that she did on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis, and also ad hoc, this meant that I could just pass this on to a new assistant. So I've hired someone else, and I can easily hand these systems off to them. And it takes very little effort and very little work from me. So I think that that's really, really good. So now I want to talk about how you can easily make your first hire to scale. So you might never want to hire other people. That's totally cool. But you can create a business that supports you and others as well if you want to. And I thought it would be valuable to talk about that today. So now we're going to use the 3 lists of freedom to figure out who you should hire first. Because what I found is a lot of motion designers automatically think, well, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm automatically going to hire another motion designer, but that might not actually be the right person. Maybe you would benefit more from having a virtual assistant, or maybe you would benefit more from having a producer or someone like that. So you can create job descriptions based on the exact tasks that you need to help with right now. And this helps you to create more time, but also helps you to really work on what you really enjoy as well. So I've definitely hired the wrong people before, but like I said, you might think, well, maybe I need a motion designer. Maybe you do. I don't know. But maybe you actually need more help from a producer, or maybe you need more help in, doing some admin and stuff like that. Doing some social media posts, like that kind of thing. So hiring others and building automations can also help you to build a business that doesn't rely on you, and which, as you all realize, can have so many potential benefits, meaning one day you can have an asset if you want to, you could sell. So I want to talk a little bit more about my experience with this as well and how it's really helped me. So when I first started my podcast, I knew that I needed some help. I hired my friend immediately. He wasn't my friend at the time. Now he's become my friend. And he helped me to figure out how to get this podcast off the ground and essentially do it every other week. And it wasn't just the systems that we had in place, but it was also the accountability that was really important to me. And this was the first taste of how systems and processes and hiring other people could really help me to grow my business and spend more time on the things that I love doing and that were in my zone of genius. So at the time I was working as a full-time freelancer. I was trying to get this podcast off the ground. I didn't even know Motion Hatch would turn into what it is today, but I'm really, really happy that it did. But I knew that if I didn't hire someone else to help me with the editing and the marketing and everything else like that, then I would never have got this podcast out. I would never, ever be speaking to you right now about all of this. So it's really, really important. And it's just something that's absolutely changed my life. So I really wanted to share that with you because I think I'm really grateful, that I learned this lesson. So here's a team that I've been building, all freelance at the moment. I've had full-time employees in the past, but I really like the flexibility of having freelancers. And it's just really nice to have a freelance team that supports me on a week-to-week basis. We've also just brought a project manager in too. And like Brendan says, we are the dream team. And of course, we couldn't do it without Elvis as well. I feel bad because I can't remember what these lovely little pets are called, but maybe Christy and Brendan can let you know as well, so you can love them as well as much as we love Elvis. So we started to create systems for repeatable tasks that would need to be done and that didn't need much, if any, input from me. We're definitely not perfect, and neither are our systems. But if something goes wrong, what is the beauty of it is so that we blame the systems and processes and we look how they can be improved next time rather than, blaming each other and things like that. And it also means that we don't make the same mistake. So what I talk about a lot in Balanced Business Bootcamp to my students is we talk about creating a retro or a retrospective for every single project that you do. So you think about what went well, what didn't go well, and what could I do better next time? And what this surfaces is when you have an issue with a client or something like that, you can actually build a system or a process into your client onboarding system or something like that that will actually help you to avoid that situation next time. So it's really, really valuable. So this has allowed me to have the freedom to wander around Europe for 5 weeks while Motion Hatch was continuing to run in the background. And this is all thanks to the systems and processes that I put in place. And of course, my wonderful team as well. So yeah, this is me in Germany last summer. I went to Sweden and Germany and also the Czech Republic, and it was amazing. So I could just say, hey, you know what? You need systems, and I could just leave it at that. But nothing works without a plan. So you need to create a plan for your systems or it won't get done. So what you need is a process project plan. So this is what a process project plan might look like. If anyone wants to know, this is built in Notion. It's a dashboard. It links out to every single process in the list. Because there are lots of processes and systems you might need to create, having a process project plan is really, really great because it can really help to reduce the overwhelm, right? So we've got things like client outreach, client onboarding, posting on social media, client offboarding, brief process, sales process, hiring process, freelance onboarding. So maybe this is giving you a few ideas as well to add on your free list of freedom too, right? And then if you're working with a team too, I highly recommend using this system of having a review system, a draft, revise and resubmit and approve as noted, which means if you do the notes, then it is approved. So you don't have to go through like multiple rounds of approval, basically. Cool. So as well, we do have priority in here too. So if you like Joel, feel like, oh, this is a little bit overwhelming, you can prioritize, which systems you build first. And like I said earlier, this is why you start with your most time-consuming tasks. So I learned about creating this type of process project plan from Work the System. If you want to do a little bit further reading on systems, I highly recommend that you do this. So a little bit more in detail then of what a process could look like for client onboarding. So you would have this linked out to different things like your discovery call process, your project plan process, and payment process. This not only saves you time and therefore helps you to make more money because you have more time for the more important tasks, but also makes you look really professional and helps you to build trust with your clients, which is what is going to help your clients keep coming back to you and back to you again, right? And also, not a lot of people are doing this kind of stuff, really having a good client onboarding system and stuff like that. So it's just going to really help the process go really nice and smooth. And your clients are going to think, wow, you're amazing and really organized. And that is going to really help you stand out. So building trust and relationships is really the core of what great businesses are built on. So I really recommend digging into some of this stuff. So Mike is an alumni of Balanced Business Bootcamp. He runs a studio in Manchester. One of the processes that he built out with us was setting up a calendar system where his clients can book a call and also ask some qualifying questions. So I would recommend that, obviously, if you want to ask qualifying questions and you want to kind of deter more people under a certain budget amount, you can put like budgetary brackets. So you could say, what's your budget? And you could have options where it says something like 10K and above, 20 to 30K, 30K to 60K or something like that. I'm just coming up with numbers off the top of my head, but you get the gist. So that would be what you should do if you would like to kind of deter more clients. But what Mike's done here is he just said, what's your budget for the project? And he hasn't made it a mandatory question. So it's a little bit more of a lighter touch, but it's really up to you how far you kind of go in with this. But this really helps him to look, more professional. It helps him to stop the back and forth on email, which is really, really annoying. And it helps him to qualify his clients before he jumps on a call with them as well. And as you can see, he's had many compliments about his fancy booking system. So it just makes him look good and helps him to build trust with his clients, which I think is really, really important. Cool. So we've gone through quite a lot today. So let's have a little recap so far. So you should create your 3 lists of freedom to see what you can delegate and automate and free up your time. You should be using systems and processes in your business to help you save time, make more money, and work on the things that you love. And you should create a process project plan to help you make and keep track of your systems. And with the right team and automation, you can grow a business easily and with less stress. So I want to know from you, I want to hear a bit more from you right now. What is the most helpful thing you've learned during our training today? Pop it in the chat. I want to know what you found helpful during this training, what you like, how important systems are. Systems Notion looks good. Oh, booking process. Great. Okay, awesome. Cool. Well, we've obviously just scratched the tip of the iceberg here on the systems and processes that you could go into scaling your business. So now you've shared with what you've learned with me. I would love to share with you how you can get more help from me to build out these systems and processes and to scale your business. I see we've got some questions in there, so we'll get to these in the Q&A shortly as well. So I promised that I would share more with you about Balanced Business Bootcamp, which we are opening up today. Balanced Business Bootcamp is a 12-month coaching program that gives you mentorship, curriculum, and community to sustainably scale your motion design business using the right systems so you can earn more, stress less, and spend more time on projects and passions that matter to you. So Balanced Business Bootcamp puts you in the driver's seat so you can build a business that puts more money in your bank, but also more time in your calendar, because I know that's important to all of you. And sometimes our students have very different goals, right? Which some of them we've listed here. But what I want to help you do is however you define balance and freedom, I want to help you to make the plan to get there. So you might think traveling more often is more important, booking more fun and creative projects, enjoying having more days off, taking long holidays. There's so many things in here. But what we want to do is help you to build systems and processes that are going to help you to build a business that's right for you. So how do we do this? It's all about creating a rock solid foundation of sustainable systems across 5 key areas. I'm going to go through each of these more detail, and the first 4 are actually our 4 pillars of growth. So we've got mindset, goals, organization, positioning, and growth. So let's go through these. The 4 pillars of growth are based on what I've identified as the major pain points that through working with designers and animators over the last 6 and 7 years, I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and these things kept coming up over and over again. So this is what the first 12 weeks of Balanced Business Bootcamp looks like. So your mindset determines how you'll succeed. So in week 1, you'll identify what's really holding you back, ditch the head trash, and implement systems to stop imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and self-sabotage. Then we go on to setting goals, because obviously we all know setting goals can be really, really overwhelming. A lot of the time, what happens is everyone sets goals in January, and then like by February, March, everything's kind of gone out the window and you've got sidetracked. So our goal setting system helps you to break goals into small actionable steps that are achievable, and you'll set crystal clear goals that align with your business and also the life you want, which is really important to me, because this is not just about business goals. This is about making sure that your business aligns with the lifestyle that you really want. So as we know, it's not just about how much time can I pour into work and how much money can I make. It's the real question is how can you work less while still making good money? And the systems you create here in this section will help you to streamline your business so that you can free up more time, find better clients, work on projects you love, and still have time to spend with your family. So next, what we're going to do is we'll make a plan to position you as a go-to studio or freelancer in your niche to effectively market yourself and get a steady stream of perfect fit clients with less effort. This is recently has been such an important one. We've spoken a lot about positioning in Balanced Business Bootcamp, and we've done a lot of extra sprints and things like that, which I'm going to tell you about later, all around this, because it's something that people really struggle with, and but I think is going to become extremely, extremely important over the next couple of years in the motion design industry. So then after all of that, you're going to have a thriving business. So you probably might need some extra help. So you'll learn how to hire and onboard new team members and set up low cost and free automations. And we're also going to teach you how to spot opportunities for further growth without compromising your profit or your freedom. Now, I'm sure that you've all done courses before. I know most of you have. And some of the time, what happens is you have good intentions, but they end up collecting dust in your inbox. But with Balanced Business Bootcamp, we give you our growth plan dashboard. So as a checklist of really, really actionable steps that you can just go through. And this makes it really, really clear on what you should do and the direction and how you should scale your business. And you can also track your progress to see how far you've come. So this really helps. Then what you're going to do is celebrate, because you have just taken your business to the next level. But this is just part of Balanced Business Bootcamp. This is only Sustainable Systems Foundations course. And I want to make sure that you actually have the accountability and support from me that you need to scale your business for a whole year. So what we also do is we do live coaching sessions. So you'll have year-round support from me and coaching and help whenever you need it. And of course, all the sessions are recorded and you can catch up with the replays as well. This really helps when you kind of get into those inevitably tricky situations with clients or projects, and you just need someone to listen to you and kind of like bounce ideas off and things like that as well. And just talk to other motion designers who have experience too, and just figure out what to do next. So these are really good for that. So I'll personally work with you to navigate through these types of hurdles. So whether that's negotiating rates with existing clients, learning how to say no to clients who aren't in your niche or can't pay your higher rates, planning how to take time off without compromising your revenue, figuring out extra admin, or dealing with what other complications generally will come your way. So here's some kind words from the lovely Manuel Does Motion, who's part of our program. And I do really recommend that you check out Manuel's YouTube channel as well, because he's just a really great guy. And I wanted to share that with you. We also have a really active community where you'll find the support system for your business and also build friendships for years to come. We encourage all of the students to post regular updates, what's working for them and what's not working for them, and any struggles that they have. And it's really great because it's a small private community where you can get support and advice and feedback between all of the live calls. This is where I spend most of my time, is going in here and helping people out in their business. So I just wanted to share this lovely little quote from Liv as well. I just thought it was really lovely that she put, it's like her little motion family. So she was like, sounds cringy, but it's true. They are like our little motion family. So I wanted to share that with you. We've also got our Get Shit Done accountability calls. So if you've ever had anything that's on your list that you just haven't done and it keeps dropping back, even though you know it should be a priority, these calls will really, really help you. They'll help you to make quick progress on the important tasks that sometimes get left behind. So I'm really passionate about helping people take action in their business, and this is what leads to growth and success. So on these calls, I challenge a group to take action on one thing that they've been putting off that I know will impact their business. Here's just a little bit of Jack's experience where he said it really, really helped him as well on the call. So if that wasn't enough help for you and you need even more help, you can always book a one-on-one coaching session with me anytime. We have weekly availability. These are rarely all booked up. So if you need to dive deeper with me on a certain project or a problem that you're having, or you want to go through any of the sustainable systems modules with me, like with your unique situation, I'm happy to do that. The rest of the group can come and listen into these calls. And what I found with that is really helpful because it really speeds up everyone's progress, because you will inevitably have similar issues and problems to other people. So if you come and listen into these calls, you may not need to book a one-on-one yourself because you may have a similar problem, or someone might even be a little bit ahead of you. So they might also, be talking about things that you hadn't even thought of potentially could become a problem, or that you hadn't thought of trying out. So it's really, really helpful. And this is also a space for you to dive deeper with me on just your business problems. So here's some examples here of past business clinics. You can get access to all of the recordings as well in the course. But of course, you can book one of these anytime too. This is Kalika's experience of working with me through the business clinics, and I really appreciate it. Always appreciate all the kind words that everyone has to say about the program. So we also do guest expert live masterclasses and Q&As. Here's an example of a few people. So if you have an expert that you really want to learn from, I will do my best to bring these people in. So you just have to submit your request and I will make it happen. I just want to go quickly through some of the past guests. You'll obviously get access to all of these in the back catalog as well, but obviously we have the live ones coming up in your session too. I really love this Kwame Christian one, and Ingi, I really love that as well. So there's loads and loads of good ones in there. This is not even all of them, but we just wanted to give you kind of a little taster of the kind of things that we talk about. So you'll also get access to these quarterly momentum building sprints. So each quarter will come together, we'll focus on achieving one big goal that will help you to move the needle in your business and make progress fast. You'll get extra resources, accountability, and straightforward tasks. So you're not just learning, you're actually doing. And you can see here, we did a portfolio sprint update. So to update our portfolios and reels, because inevitably that is one of the hardest things to get done and actually finish. So I think this was a really good one. We did a little show and tell as well. It was really cool. So it seems like a lot, but we actually just do this in one live call every single week, and replays are always available. You can easily see what's coming up in the event section in our community. So it's all laid out very nicely. You can see that this week we've actually got a guest expert with the lovely Wednesday studio. So if you join us before then inside Balance Business Bootcamp, you can actually come along to that as well as a little bonus. So think of this Balance Business Bootcamp coaching program as your business companion. We're there every single week helping you for a whole year. You've got access to all of these different things, and they all help you along with the business struggles that you're having right now and help you to build out these systems and processes that we know are really important. We also have a massive back catalog of templates that you can actually just access straight away. So you don't have to build all this stuff out yourself as well. And the beauty about it being a year-long program is that you can go at your own pace. So what I found with some programs, sometimes you feel like you have to kind of rush through the content. You don't get to know people, So I think, like Liv said, that's why it feels like your business family, because we spend a whole year with you. So of course, there are lots of lessons and templates and things like that, but you can dive into these in your own time. You don't have to use everything. I help you to figure out what is the most relevant to you in your business as well. And when you join, we'll have a networking orientation call so that you get to meet your fellow students as well and ask me any questions. So you'll have 12 months access to the steps that will help you to create foundational systems that will help you free up your time. You'll have a library of resources. You'll have the private community and multiple opportunities to get mentored by me and ask me any questions about scaling your business. And this all leads to a solid growth plan in your back pocket. And a lot of the time, I get it, a year feels like a long time to spend together, but there's one thing that's for sure. If you don't take action, then nothing is going to change. So there's no magic pill, I'm not going to promise you that, and things don't get solved overnight, but here's what could happen if you join us in Balance Business Bootcamp. In 1 month, you could have identified your top 3 goals for the year, shaken off the I'm not good enough doubts, and feel more confident to reach out to your dream clients. In 3 months, you'll have started to part ways with your old clients who don't align with your vision, and you'll have raised your rates, prioritizing working on the tasks that have the biggest impact in your business. On 6 months, you'll have created your marketing systems that consistently bring in high-paying clients with less effort, set up automations to free up your time, and maybe even be ready to explore some passive income opportunities. And in 12 months, you're running an entirely new business where you have the freedom to choose your projects, your systems are running like clockwork in the background, and you have more time to spend with the people you love. So because I've said I obviously spend a lot of time in this program, we do a lot of one-on-one coaching, we do group coaching. This is a coaching program. This means that we only have 20 spots available. It's a very small community, and we're keeping it purposely small because we want to make sure that we can help you the most. And like I said, I spend a lot of time really working with you one-on-one with your business. So if you want to join us today, you can go to motionhatch.com/join. Obviously, if you have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A. You can also always email me later at hello@motionhatch.com. Happy to discuss anyone's particular circumstances with you and whether the program is right for you as well. So you can get access to Balance Business Bootcamp for £500 a day and joining our payment plan, or if you would like to, you can pay $5K upfront, and that includes a $1K off bonus discount. So I understand sometimes that people do want to pay in full, but they can't do that immediately. So you can pay £500 today, join the payment plan and secure your spot. But then if you email me within 90 days of joining the program and make the payment for the remainder of the full price, then I'll still give you the 1K off bonus, because I want to make sure that, if you want to do that, you can do that. But obviously, if you use a payment plan, that costs us a little bit more. So we're trying to find an in-between for that. So you can get 12 months access to Balance Business Bootcamp for just £500 today, and then 11 monthly payments, or 5K one-time payment, which does include the 1K discount bonus. So I've got a few little things about what our students said, their experiences and results. But please, please do go to the website, go to motionhatch.com/join to learn more about Balanced Business Bootcamp. You can actually watch videos of the students talking about the program as well, if you would like to do that. I'm just going to kind of zoom through these. Feel free as well, if you're watching the replay, pause these, have a little read. I want to share a little bit with you about what the students think, what the results and what they've got from the program. So we do have a 30-day money back guarantee, because I don't want you to, feel like, okay, I have to say yes or no today if you're not fully informed about the program, what it's like. Obviously the best thing to do is get in there, get inside the community, start working with me and make a fully informed decision. Because what I want for you is to make sure that this investment is the right thing and the right next step for you in your career. So if you take action, you watch the video lessons, dive deep into the library of resources and show up to the live coaching sessions, and you still don't think that it's a valuable program and it's right for you, then I will give you a refund within 30 days. You will also get access to our Client Quest course for free, which helps you to build a system to get consistent clients, so you don't have to worry about where your next client is coming from. I include this for free because I want to make sure that everyone has access to this, because I want you to have everything that you need to scale your business and work with clients that you love. Also, if you're an alumni of Client Quest, do send me an email because we can give you a discount as well. So I want to make sure that you're kicked off in Balanced Business Bootcamp in the right way. And I want to offer you a no bullshit review of your whole online presence. These reviews do take me a long time. I'm going to spend at least an hour looking at your portfolio, your show reel, and your social media. So this is only available for 48 hours because I don't think that I could do this for everyone. So I will send you a video with my thoughts and suggestions on how you can improve. So if you do want access to this full motion design marketing audit, then please do join us inside Balanced Business Bootcamp in the next 48 hours. And you might not have this problem yet, but I did want to add this bonus in there because most likely after taking BBB, you might want to look into some passive income streams. A lot of our students do. So I've included our passive income workshop as well if you join us before Sunday. So if you join Balanced Business Bootcamp today, remember we've only got 20 spots available. You can get £1,000 off in bonuses as well. So here's everything you get. You get access to mentorship, coaching, community for a whole year. You get the Sustainable Systems Foundations course, which I've talked a lot about today, and we all know is very important because of the lessons we learned today. You get the get shit done, accountability calls, group coaching calls, one-on-one business clinics with me, and also calls with marketing experts, and access to our private community and Client Quest. So if you would like to, you can go to motionhatch.com/join now to secure your spot. Remember, because this is a group coaching program, obviously my time is limited, so we only have 20 spots available, and we'll probably not open this again until later this year. Cool. So I want to get into all the questions that you have. Please, please, in the Q&A box below, it should be down here somewhere, or if you're watching the replay of this later, email me at hello@motionhatch.com. I'm really happy to answer any questions you have. Anything about Balanced Business Bootcamp, anything that we've taught you today, I want to help you as much as I can. Thank you for, sticking around as well. And now I'll pop to the questions. I'm just going to pop this screen on so everyone can see, have a little reminder of what's included in BBB too, and I will answer the questions. Cool. Oh, thanks for the claps, guys. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go then. So Jesus says, how do I approach subcontracting people when working with studios? If a studio like Territory comes to me for work, I doubt they'll be okay with me managing someone else doing the actual work. So yes, I think that I would first, I would question your assumption of this, because that might not be true. I mean, obviously I don't know. I can't remember. I think when I've spoken to Territory, what their kind of policy on this or anything is, but I would definitely, you could definitely float that question up to them, saying something like, hey, I'm starting my new studio. You know, I'm going to be working with some people. This means that I will have more availability and I can help you more. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Like something like this, I might approach it in that way. Also, if that might not be the best way to go about it, potentially you could get more help on the admin side, you know, something like that, where you're actually still the person doing the work. And then that doesn't really matter to a studio, you know, if you're still the person doing the work too. And then I'm just going to jump to Will's question because it's actually related to your question as well. So Will said, can you give us an example of what a virtual assistant is? Yes, I can. So a virtual assistant is basically kind of what it says on the tin. It's like an assistant that's virtual. So, you know, it's if you've ever heard of like an executive assistant, which basically is someone who just does a lot of the admin stuff for you. So I'll think of some of the things that I've had VAs do for me in the past, scheduling social media, writing emails, you know, managing calendar bookings, managing travel, general organizational stuff, general admin stuff, lots of things on the admin side of things. In Balanced Business Bootcamp in the hiring section, we do actually go through a bit what a virtual assistant is, how you can hire them, the best place to hire them, and things like that. But hopefully that gives you some ideas as well. Cool. Okay, sorry, I'm just jumping back up. Omri says, how can we feel motivated with cultivating our design and animation business while we know AI is going to come our way ruthlessly very soon? Yes. So I think that this is why building a business in this way is really important. It's why, you know, giving your clients a really good experience through building processes out. I think it's really, really important to work more on this and work more on your relationships and building trust, and also, you know, elevating yourself as a creative, because yes, obviously AI is coming in. It's already took away a lot of things that we used to do, like rotoscoping and stuff like that. So I think that people will just be more the creative minds rather than necessarily, you know, being the person who does a lot of the moving of the keyframes and stuff like that eventually. That's just my theory at the moment. You know, obviously I'm not an expert. We have got a podcast coming out with some people that know a lot more about AI than I do, but that's kind of my general feeling. But I feel like this is definitely the time to think about positioning, you know, how you position yourself in the industry, what types of clients are your ideal clients, and how can you solve a problem for them? Which is what we talk about a lot in Balanced Business Bootcamp as well. Cool. If anyone has follow-up questions, let me know. See, Ryan's just signed up for Balanced Business Bootcamp. Whoop. Nice to have you in there, Ryan. Awesome. Can't wait to work with you. So Joel says, what's the difference between a studio and a freelancer that has subcontractors? Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I feel like a lot of people that I work with, they don't necessarily want to build like a big studio and have an office and all this kind of stuff. But what they do is they kind of have freelancers they work with occasionally, and they kind of scale up and down, right, as necessary. And I think that you could definitely do that. And I think like calling yourself a studio or not, I feel like that's just like a naming thing. Like you don't have to do, you know, it's up to you really. Like that there isn't, you know, it's like a lot of things. People say, oh, I have a studio, but it might just be like two people, or it might just be them, and they might hire freelancers. Or people might say I have a studio and they actually have like 20 employees, right? So there isn't really like a hard and fast rule, I don't think. But yeah, in Balanced Business Bootcamp, we have like people of all different stages. Like Mike has I think he might have more now. At the time he had 5 employees. I think maybe he's got more like 7 or something now. I know that he's growing. But then also we've had freelancers that don't want to hire anyone, or they just want to do this up and down scaling model. So it's really up to you, you know. And I think you can call it whatever you want to call it, really. I don't think it, you know, I don't think it matters, or it's just more about how you position yourself and whether it makes more sense to position yourself as an individual or a studio. You know, the back end of it is kind of different. I think Joel asked a follow-up question, so I'm just gonna address that. So Joel said in the chat, is it expected to be upfront about subcontracting for clients? I would always do that. I think it's best. You know, our relationships are built on trust in this industry. Your reputation is everything. I would really, really be upfront. But I think you can go about it in a way, like I said, where you can talk about, um, how you're growing and scaling, and this will mean that you have more availability for them. I think that that would be a really good way to go. Cool. Okay, so Angelique says, how do you deal with clients with amorphous schedules that seem to shift and extend constantly, especially for longer term projects? Oh, sorry, I need to type answer live so you can all read this as well. That might need subcontractor help for. Sorry, I have to read these a couple of times to make sure I'm answering the right question. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Angelique. So you want to know about like when the scope shifts and stuff like that. I think yeah, this is really tricky, especially if you're subcontracting, right? So it depends like how you want to work with people. So a lot of times what studios will do is they'll obviously charge like a project fee. They'll make sure they have enough wiggle room in there to cover when things shift about and things like that. And then you might want to hire someone on a day rate, or alternatively to kind of battle with that a little bit, you could also hire someone on a project fee as well. So there's like different ways around it that you could do, but you definitely need to have a really good contract and a really good scope of work. I think that's really, really important. So I would just think about that. And then I would make sure you have your boundaries set, your systems and processes in place, and keeping on top of all that project management stuff. And then I think that would really help. Um, Peter says, I've worked full-time 16 years as a motion designer, 2D and 3D. I've never had trouble finding work, but suddenly now it seems there's no work in sight. Is it just me? I don't think it's just you, Peter. I think it's I've heard this a lot from over the past, 2023, 24. It's becoming more difficult. And I think, we can all speculate on what happened. I think it's a little bit of economy, it's a little bit of potentially the writers and actors strikes, like kind of filtering into our industry a bit, because there's obviously a lot of VFX artists and stuff like that that maybe are doing motion design as well. But, it's kind of just, that's just me speculating on what's happening. But what I would say is what I think is really important is thinking about the positioning. How are you positioning yourself now? Because this is the people that are being the most successful that I've seen recently are the people who are thinking about solving particular problems for clients, right? So we just had a podcast with Kevin Rapp, which is brilliant, talking about how he made 500K in his first year freelance. And this is because he has a very particular client in mind, and he went after them, and he also talked a lot about systems, ironically, as well. But he basically helped them to solve a problem that they have through his system process. And I think that that's really important, because he knew that they had a problem in the tech industry with, they wanted to market their products, but because they were quite new, they didn't know how to do that. So he came up with a system to give them, a set of tools essentially that they could use to market. And that solved a big problem for them. And that's why his business is successful. So I think it's about, how do you find your ideal clients? How do you talk about the problems that they have in a way that they understand? And I think this is how you can stand out, and this is how you can find more work. Because yes, it is, I think it's definitely more competitive. I think there's definitely a little bit less work around at the moment, but this is how we can tackle these types of problems. So I hope that helps you. I'm obviously trying to like give sort of a little bit top level answers. Happy to kind of, go a little bit deeper. If you want to send me an email, ask any follow-up questions. I just, I want to be wary of everyone's time too, right? Okay, so we've done that one. Okay, so Nate says, I'm in a smaller market in Michigan. I have branded myself as a jack of all trades in animation. I do MoGraph, VFX, and shot cleanup, character animation, and I'm a C4D generalist. I feel like I need to niche down, but I'm not sure how to choose one thing. Yeah, it's tricky. It's very difficult, and it's something that a lot of the students I work with really struggle with. It's a really kind of, it's hard, to work out. I think that if you're thinking about, just in the terms of like, okay, I'm a jack of all trades, I'm doing like shot cleanup, character animation, all this stuff, you're kind of thinking about it just in like what your skills are, right? But there's actually different ways that you can niche down. You niche down by like the types of clients you work with, like the industry, your style or your skills, right? So potentially you could do all of these things still, but you could do them for one type of client, right? So maybe that's the way that you might look at it. But obviously there's lots of different ways you could kind of go about that. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of help and a little bit of things to think about. Yeah, sorry if I'm missing any questions and they're in the chat, please put them in the Q&A box because there's quite a lot of questions and I just want to make sure that I get to everyone's questions. But obviously it's a bit tricky to see them in the chat. Grant says, what's been your experience finding clients through creative staffing agencies? I've worked with a couple of clients through these agencies. I'm trying to use these to help others find clients for me. Automation. Yeah, I mean, what I found with those kind of things is that like because what happens is the clients tend to go out to their existing freelance network first, right? So it's like the staffing agencies are kind of there when they're a bit desperate. So then the projects are like, I feel like the projects are never like really as good. That was my experience anyway when I tried that as a freelancer. Like that was always like the last resort for the companies that were hiring the staffing agencies to make sure people got in. So then the jobs like kind of weren't as good. And maybe then the people who worked there also felt like maybe you weren't as good because you weren't busy or something like that. I mean, that's not always the case, but there was just kind of the vibe that I got in my own experience. Like, please share in the chat your experience too, because this isn't just about me. This is why we have community with all of our courses, because we have all these conversations all the time. And it's fascinating to me, like people come with different perspectives and things like that. So please do share and help Grant as well. But I think, I like your thinking, Grant. I like this kind of like outsourcing thinking from that side. But what I would probably more persuade you to kind of move towards is thinking about how you can free up your time in other areas so that you can really concentrate on building your own relationships with your own clients. And I feel like that would really help you more as well. Cool. Sarah says, how do you manage to stay consistent with the amount of time required to stay up to date in the industry by taking course tutorials, acquiring new skills while keeping up with your motion design business? Yes, it's very tricky. This is what we're talking about today, isn't it? This is all of the things because you have to wear all the hats, you have to do all the things. I think that it's about prioritizing, what is going to get you to your goals the fastest, right? And I think ultimately we have to just learn to say no to things sometimes, but think about it this way. What realistically do you need to take your business to the next level, right? I feel like there's a lot of in our industry, like obviously everyone really likes to up their skills all the time and take new courses in that aspect. And I think that is great. And sometimes you do need to do that. But sometimes it's a distraction from actually going out there and actually getting the clients right and working on the business and doing that kind of stuff. It's easy to be like, I'll learn a new software and things like that. Like I've done this so many times. Well, I love learning, I love teaching. This is why I do this stuff. But I think sometimes it can be a little bit of distraction from actually doing the hard stuff that maybe you don't like to do as much, right? Because I feel like doing tutorials and learning more skills and learning new softwares and stuff like that is important, but sometimes we put a little bit too much emphasis on it. And I feel like it's just something that you should have an ongoing practice of in the background, but making sure that you're also spending time on the business tasks, like we've been talking about today. So I hope that helps you. Cool. Okay. Thanks everyone for sticking around. I'm trying to see if we can prioritize some of these. I really want to get to all your questions, so I really appreciate you sticking around. Remember, if you do want to join us in Barnes Business Bootcamp, we've got 20 spots. You can go to motionhatch.com/join. And if you join us today, you're going to get all these lovely bonuses and stuff like that, like Ryan. Cool. Okay, so I Curtis, if we are reaching out to a lot of prospects through agencies, our networks, and individual companies, we are not getting much progress. What would be your advice? Just keep at it. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to reread these questions. I am putting them so everyone can see them as well, because I know sometimes it's hard and annoying just to hear me reading them out loud. Okay, so you're asking about reaching out to clients and stuff like that. So yeah, I think if what you're doing isn't working, obviously maybe you need to change what you're doing. You should think about like, well, what has worked in the past? Maybe it's not relevant anymore. Like sometimes that happens, but it's always the first best port of call. And then I would think about reverse engineering it a little bit. So think about like, okay, well, who are the people that I want to work with? Like, who are my ideal clients? And how can I be where they are, right? How can I like hang out where they are? How can I be involved in the conversations that they're having? Instead of kind of like blasting out like lots of emails to lots of different people, be a little bit more strategic about what you're doing. So like we just did a social media sprint inside Balance Business Bootcamp, but it wasn't just about posting on social media. It was about particularly posting on social media to attract our ideal clients, because LinkedIn, especially, has had a change recently. And LinkedIn is what they are doing is they're sort of like showing your posts to more niche people. So like if you're a motion designer and you're posting a lot about motion design, they're going to show that to the motion designers. That's not really helping you to get clients, right? Like obviously it's nice to make connections with other motion designers. Sometimes it does, but it's maybe not as effective as it used to be. So then what you need to think about is, okay, well, how can I post on LinkedIn but talk about the things that would attract my ideal client, and like this is a massive like subject, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more idea about like how you can start thinking about these things and how you can start thinking about, okay, well, who do I want to attract? What problems are they solving? And how can I get in front of them essentially? So I hope that helps. Cool. Awesome. So Drew says, this sounds like a good way to scale direct client work. What if I'm working on short contracts with studios, but I still want to scale? Yeah, you can still do that. Like I say, it's about thinking about, well, what do I spend the most time on now? And how can I, potentially build systems around some of that stuff so that it's easier. So, for example, I imagine you get lots of inbound inquiries from studios asking about you and your work and like how much your rate is and stuff like that. You probably want to create a system around that where you have some sort of template that kind of gives them the kind of rundown of that, right? Or potentially you would create a form or something like that where a potential client could fill out more about their project. Do you see what I mean? This is how you can start to like speed some stuff up and things like that. And I think that can really help. It's just about, everyone's got to use social media and stuff like that these days. So thinking about those kind of things, obviously client onboarding, that kind of thing maybe isn't as relevant to you. No worries. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat and the questions as well, but sorry if you're thanking me or responding to me in the chat and I don't see it, but I really, really do appreciate it. Cool. So yes, Jess says, how important is it to create items like motion templates for passive income when things are slow? Yeah, passive income. So it's interesting, right? Because like I think there's this thing, passive income is a bit of a buzzword, right? And it's not, nothing is ever truly passive, but I definitely think there's ways, and I've done it and my students have done it as well, that you can create, more things that were alternative revenue streams, essentially, that will lead you to have income that can plug in the gaps as well of some of your freelance downtimes. And that might be more like productized service type stuff. It might be like passive income stuff. It might be creating templates. It might be doing courses. It could be loads of different stuff, right? But I don't think that everybody has to do that. And I think that you can create a really thriving motion design business doing custom work. I think you could do productized services, where you have more kind of a certain, quote unquote products. Like, so example of that might be, maybe you do YouTube packages for YouTubers, that would be more of a productized service, things like that. So there's definitely all sorts of ways that you can run your business in motion design. It's really just based on like your goals and what you want to do as well. But yeah, happy to chat through this with anyone. And obviously this is the kind of questions that we're talking about all the time in BBB. So I'd love to see you in there if you'd like to join. Okay, so quite a long question. Yes. So if you have any questions for me and you need to hop off, like that's absolutely fine. You can always email at hello@motionhatch.com. I'm trying to get through as many questions as I can, but I know that, just in case some of you need to get off, that's absolutely fine as well. I just want to make sure I get through as many as I can today. You can always email me, hello@motionhatch.com. If you want to join us, remember, go to motionhatch.com/join if you want to be part of BBB. So, how to fight the stigma of being late in your career path. I feel like I cannot be taken seriously by clients if I earn very little, despite my well-documented talent, and I'm consistently living the facade of stability. I'm afraid clients wouldn't pay me much. Always feel a sense of shame when chatting with potential clients. Okay, yeah, so this is about, I think this is, feeling, this is really hard because it's like, I think it's easy to kind of say like, oh, this is imposter syndrome and stuff like that. But like, I feel like even if you're late in your career path, I think it's fine. Like lots of people, I think, are older than they think than you think in this industry. And, we're all growing and learning together. And I think that I wouldn't worry too much about that. Like I've worked with a lot of people who are coming from other industries and are starting out brand new in motion design, and they want to get my help because obviously I've been around in the industry for a long time, about 15 years plus, I think. So yeah, I feel like it's always hard and you always kind of feel like an imposter. I still feel like this today, but I think it's about thinking about what you can offer clients and how you can help them, right? Like put the onus from yourself and put it onto the client. Like what are they asking you for? Like what can you help them with? And because I think that you're thinking a lot about like how they're thinking of you, and most of the time they're actually not thinking too much about us. Unfortunately, they're thinking about like what they need to do and how they need to progress in their job or how they need to make more money as their business and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, think about like, how can I help this client achieve what they need to achieve? And I think hopefully that might help you a little bit. So yeah, thanks so much for your question. JP, is that JB says, what kind of investment do we need to consider when hiring if we haven't hired anyone yet? I think this is an important part of the process. I'm thinking about hiring someone to manage social media. Thanks. Yes, great question. Something that I get asked a lot all the time from my students. what you need to think about is definitely having a little bit of runway, right? Like I usually think about for freelance as well, it's a little bit easier because obviously you don't have as big of a commitment, but I would think about how can I have about 3 to 6 months worth of whatever you would pay them. And you can start off by saying, okay, this is just for this project, or this is just for a 3 months trial or something like that. And then that kind of helps you a little bit to see if it's right for you as well. But yeah, ideally you would have that. We also have a financial forecasting template, which really helps you to just put in that as a line item, right? Like that social media person as like a line item with all your expenses and stuff like that. And that just really helps you to figure out how you can essentially fit them in and if that works. And I use that all the time. So I definitely recommend that. Great. Yes, I see a few people hopping off by Ryan. Excited for Camp Mograph 2 and excited for you to join in BBB. So yeah, I'm not sure if I can like close some of these. So hopefully, Brendan, you can help me close some of the questions down. Just trying to get through them all. I appreciate you all hanging around. I want to make sure that I really help you all today and answer as many questions as I possibly can. Awesome. And like I said, if you need to hop off, don't worry. You can always email me hello@motionhatch.com, and I also hope to see you all in Balanced Business Bootcamp as well. So Chris, I was thinking about design systems across the clients, but implementing systems in every single area of my business widens my whole vision. Great. That wasn't really a question, but I appreciate you, Chris. Thanks. I think that's fantastic. Awesome. So, another question about rates from Jesus. I've seen people on LinkedIn complaining about rates, specifically in the US. 800 to 900 a day seems outrageous. What's your take on considering rates in the US are higher than anywhere else in the world? Yeah, I mean, my thing on this, like obviously I would love it if everybody could charge more, right? Like that just makes sense. It would be great if everyone could charge or more. I think that I wouldn't want I wouldn't want people to charge less than they can. I think you should charge what you can and what is fair to your clients. And fair is a very subjective thing, by the way. So 800 and 900 day to a certain client might be really, really fair to them, and they might be making a lot of money from that. So I obviously wish that everybody could charge more everywhere. And I think, yes, the US, obviously they charge the most there, but I don't think that I guess I don't think that we should be angry about that. I think that we should be trying to raise the rates of everybody everywhere, ideally. Because in the UK they charge much less as well. Like I think the average is like 350 to 450, so like it's tricky, and I can see why people find it frustrating. But I think that it's good that people are talking about rates, and it's good that people are sharing their prices, because it means that people coming into the industry aren't going to undercharge and aren't going to undercut everyone else. So hopefully that's helpful. But obviously this is just my opinion, and everyone is welcome to have their opinions too. Cool. So Justin says, I feel my outreach to potential new clients is very consistent. However, I can't seem to book any new clients. Cold emails, LinkedIn posts, optimizing my website SEO haven't provided any return. Any suggestions? Great question. Yeah, I think if the outreach, the social media and stuff like that isn't working, I think the problem, my guess, would be potentially in how you're positioning or marketing yourself. Because if you're like really are doing like as much as you can on that front, then it's the messaging that's not working in some way. So potentially it's either because you're not doing the right messaging, you're potentially not reaching out to the right types of clients that would want to work with you. So it's definitely looking into that positioning and how you market yourself section. Which is obviously quite difficult for me to say on this call with you because I haven't seen you like what your work is and all this kind of stuff, and we'd have to have like quite a very in-depth conversation about it. But I mean, I hope that gives you some ideas. Like if you join Balance Business Bootcamp, obviously we can dive into that. And if you join us in the next 48 hours, we've got the full marketing audit, which was obviously really help with that. But yeah, my suggestion would be to look at how you're positioning yourself in the industry, and is there any way that you can look at an ideal client and how you get in front of them and solve a specific problem like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Cool. I think that I have managed to get through all the questions, I think. So that's awesome. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I will answer one quick question from Sabine. How would you handle advertising your work to new clients if you aren't share any under NDAs? It's really, really tough. You know, like when you have to do this, I think like obviously I don't want to tell you could share it on a private link, but you know, I'm not saying you should do that, but I know that some people have done that. So it's kind of a bit of a tricky one. But yeah, I wouldn't want to tell you to do that, but I know other motion designers who have shared some work with particular people in that way. So I hope that helps. Yeah, and then I think other than that, obviously you would have to create some maybe more personal projects and stuff like that. Okay, thanks everyone for joining me live today. I really, really appreciate you. And if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, just hit me up at hello@motionhatch.com. I'm happy to discuss any questions you have, answer any questions you have about whether Balanced Business Bootcamp is the best next step for you. I'm happy to chat to you all. I really, really appreciate you. And I hope to see you all in Balanced Business Bootcamp very, very soon. So thanks, everyone. I appreciate you all. See ya.